Alright, so I'm not even too sure how many of you actually remember Kira Ryouske. So before I try and dive into my thinking that he will return, let's go all the way back to the first few chapters of Blue Lock. Alright, so Kira was a second-year high school student who played for Matsukaze High School, which is also the team that beat Isagi's team and got the right to play in the nationals. After the match, Isagi admitted that the gap between him and Kira was huge, and that Kira would probably end up going pro. Kira was also really against Ego's way of thinking in the beginning, and the two of them beefed a bit. Anyway, in the end, Kira got eliminated from the tag game by Isagi and Bachira. Kira then showed his true colors as he got pissed, as he asked how Ego could erase the future of a player as talented as himself, calling himself the nation's treasure and all of that, before he started to rightfully crash out and then leave the room. Now, before we get into the actual theory, some of you take this way too seriously, so just remember that this is mostly for fun, so please chill out on the death threats in the comments. Anyway, back to the topic. Now we have to remember that because Kira got eliminated here, he was banned from permanently going to Japan's national team, which is the same as for all of the other eliminated players. So with that out of the way, why do I even waste the time talking about him? Well, firstly, even though he's only appeared in 2 chapters, he's one player who has really piqued my interest, which has gotten me wondering about how he could make his return to the story. Now let's just get it out of the way right off the bat so that I don't waste any of your time. This is more about the double citizenship thing, which has always been a theory since Kira got eliminated, so this isn't anything super original. However, I wanted to explain my take on it and why I do think that it makes sense. Right off the bat, let's explain what I first mean with a double citizenship, for those who are unsure. So, what does that mean? Well, to be honest, I wasn't like 100% sure either. So I asked ChatGPT, and this is what they said. You can get a double citizenship if you're born in, for example, another country, let's just say USA. Now, if you are born there but your parents are from somewhere else, then you can gain a double citizenship in those countries. So for example, Kira might have been born in USA but moved to Japan. Or if his parents are from USA, then he could also acquire a double citizenship. You can also gain one if you have lived in another country for several years, which is why a lot of people think that Sei might have a double citizenship in Spain, as he was there for 4 years. But that's a topic for another time. And now let's get back to Kira. Now we know that whatever he does, he can never participate in the World Cup together with Japan, as he got banned from it by the GOAT Ego. This leaves us with no other choice than to go international and speculate that Kira will play for another country. And as we know, there are 64 countries participating in the U20 World Cup, which is the most amount of countries there's ever been. Not to mention that all of the new World 11 will be there playing. Anyway, yeah, the theory about him having a double citizenship is a bit of a stretch. However, I do really think that reintroducing Kira into this arc could be massive for Blue Lock. However, you know what would be massive as well? If you would just scroll down a little bit and hit that subscribe and like button so that I can continue bringing these questionable Blue Lock theories to you guys. Anyway, back to the video. First, I want to explain that he won't be a new World 11 player. I have seen some people saying that, so I just thought that I should clarify that right away. If he were a new World 11 player, then he would have been introduced as one. Not to mention that the Blue Lock player seems to know most of the new World 11, or at least they knew who Sei and Kaiser were when they first popped up, which means that they would have known if Kira was one. Obviously, I wasn't talking about the new World 11 from Japan, but rather from another country. But anyway, now we have gone over that he isn't one. Now, why I do think that adding Kira into the mix of such an insane and highly anticipated arc would be a good move. Well, like I said in my video a few days ago, I don't believe that Nagi will participate, and come on, we can't have a full arc without an important character with white hair. But it's not only that, as I believe that adding Kira right now into the story would be like the greatest shock factor ever. We already know that the Blue Lock players are going to be mind blown when they see all of the other teams, but also the new World 11. So why not just throw Kira into the mix while we are already at it? Like, just imagine the Blue Lock players getting ready for their first match, and then before it we see Kira going over to Isagi and saying that it's been a while and that he's here for revenge. Like, honestly, that would get me more pumped up about the entire arc than seeing the new World 11. Firstly, Isagi will just be in pure awe seeing him here before he thinks back to when he eliminated him, and then he will get ready to once again eliminate Kira. Now, while making this script, I do realize that I'm not able to sell this theory that well. However, in my head, all of this makes sense at least. I truly think that the biggest reason that I'm wishing for a Kira comeback is just because of the pure shock it would bring. I always like shows when they bring back characters that hasn't been in the story for a long time, which is why I was super excited for Kunigami in the beginning. Like, trust me, I was jumping up and down my seat when he came out of the wild card, and not to mention that Kira just has so much potential still. And one thing which has led me to believing in this theory is that we have never seen Kira outside of the first 2 chapters, which to me is pretty weird, especially in the Neo-Egoist League, where the games were live streamed everywhere. I think that if Kira wasn't going to come back, then adding a quick panel of him looking frustrated while looking at the Neo-Egoist League from home would be a great addition. However, we have never gotten that, and I know that this is a super far reach. However, I do think that it's because the author is saving him, and that he wants to still use Kira. Now the main question is also if Kira would even be nearly as good as the Blue Lock players are now, which, to be honest, wouldn't really make sense for him to be, as it's thanks to Ego's insane training, and his knowledge that has pushed the Blue Lock players to getting so good in such a short amount of time. But if Kira comes back, he would obviously be as good as them, even if it wouldn't make total sense. However, when I think about it, it's not like a crazy take either, as Kira was the most famous player out of the 300 players, and we didn't really see how good he truly was, as he obviously didn't have time to show it. Who knows, he might have been completely broken. I also think that Kira could have taken a more egotistical mindset himself after losing in Blue Lock, as we saw in the end how truly narcissistic he was, and that he believed himself to be better than the other players, specifically Isagi and Igarashi. But while on that topic, it would be cooler to see Kira going against the whole egotistical mindset and kind of fighting Ego's philosophy. Also, if we want to smoke on some more copium, then listen to this. This could be the time when Ray Dark makes his reappearance on the show. Now I know that I bring this guy up like every video. However, I'm truly curious and excited for just what he will do. Like me as a person is super impatient, so when he was introduced, I was so excited to know what his next move would be, as he seems to be someone who could just turn the story upside down, and him taking Kira under his wing wouldn't be that crazy if you ask me. Like Kira was, as stated before, a super huge name leased in Japan, and there's a good chance that Ray Dark heard that he got eliminated, but didn't want to waste his potential, so he asked him to team up with him to then get revenge on Blue Lock and Ego. Just imagine how cold that would be if Kira's motivation for becoming better and improving himself is so that he could take revenge on both Ego and Isagi. Like, that revenge story just sounds absolutely insane, and it's something that I would love. Now, is the chance huge for Ray Dark to have taken Kira under his wing? No, not at all. However, I just wanted to say it in this video, so if it turns out that it's true, then I could say that I always believed it. Alright, so if this turns out to be right and Kira actually comes back, then what do I think will happen in the U20 World Cup, and how will it go between him and Isagi? Well, firstly, we have to pick a country that he will play for. Now, this doesn't matter too much, and I think that he could work in all of the teams except for Germany and France. Having him in Germany would be weird, as we will see Ness and Kaiser's new awakening in that team, so there's no need for someone else. And France is already stacked, so that would be overkill, because I don't know if I've understood it right. However, France has Loki and Charles, but they also have another new World 11. As Loki and Charles have never been announced as one, we can expect that none of them are the new World 11 in question. So for the easy sake of things, let's just put our boy Kira in like the USA. Alright, so how will it go? Well, here I am a bit conflicted, as I can see the U20 World Cup going 2 ways. One, if Kaiser and Isagi are in the same group stage, and one if Kira and Isagi are in the same group stage. I do for sure think that a vital character like Kaiser or Kira will be in the same group stage as Blue Lock, as that would hype it up a lot more. And don't worry, even if they are in the same group stage, both of the teams can advance, as it's the top 2 teams out of the group stage that advance. Also, Loki and France being in the same group stage as Japan is something I can never see happening, as I think that France will be the final villain of the U20 World Cup. Anyway, let's say that they also decide to save Germany, then I think that Blue Lock and Japan will be placed in the same group stage as Kira. There they will first meet, and their rivalry will then start as they try to battle against each other for the top spot of the group stage. They will then meet in the third game, and Blue Lock will lose. However, like I said before, both of the teams will still advance. Also, I think that theory also applies if Germany and Japan are in the same group stage. Anyway, when the group stage is over and it's the real deal, then I believe that Blue Lock will both defeat Kira's team, which would then be the USA, and that they would also defeat Germany in the semi-final. So I think that Isagi will defeat Kira before he defeats Kaiser, because even though this would be Kira's reintroduction, I doubt that the author wants to make Kira a bigger antagonist than the GOAT Kaiser. Anyway, then the Blue Lock players get to the final and ultimately get owned by France because, I mean, their team is just absurd, and I'll probably make a video on that as well, as something tells me that the goalkeeper will be from that team. Anyway, hopefully this video isn't too confusing. However, there's a high chance that it actually will be, as I don't know if I could really put everything I wanted to get across in the right words, which is a bit of a shame, but I was still super excited to talk about this, so I just had to. Anyway, please let me know down in the comments what you think about this theory and what you think the chances of Kira making a return to the story actually are. Also, if you have any video ideas, they are always greatly appreciated. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.